Has President Donald Trump sacrificed Indo-US ties at the altar of personal profits from Pakistan? The theory has been doing the rounds after he imposed 50% tariffs on India and unleashed his lapdogs to attack Prime Minister Modi personally for funding the Russian war. Question is, how could a relationship that has been built over the last 25 years, strengthened during Trump's last tenure, go down the dumps so quickly? It clearly has more to do with it than Russian oil. Today, one of the most authoritative voices on American foreign policy has blown the lid off what he calls the most underreported story of our times. Jake Sullivan, America's former national security advisor, has in a podcast said that President Trump and his family have all got sweet business deals in Pakistan from which the family is profiteering. He says, and I'm quoting him now, "In no small part, I think because of Pakistan's willingness to do business deals with the Trump family, he has thrown the India relationship over the side. That," he says, "is a huge strategic harm in its own right because a strong US-India relationship serves our interest," which means American interest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he's not the first person saying it. He will not be the last. Question is, what are President Trump's business interests in Pakistan? And are they really as shady as they are being made out to be? Let's see. To begin with, Trump and Sons and friends have interests in Pakistan that range from crypto to oil to gold to real estate. Let's begin with the Bitcoin business. 5 days after the Pahalgam attack on India, Trump's cryptocurrency firm, World Liberty Financial, signs a deal with Pakistan's barely month-old crypto council. It's called the PCC. The Trump family, just by the way, owns 60% in this firm, and the president is officially the chief crypto advocate of it. Asim Munir, the Pakistan Army chief, was one of the men the American delegation met before the deal was signed. Now, many people in America have said this is conflict of interest. We are saying this is conflict of interest as well, but not for President Trump. The White House reacted to these charges by saying President Trump's assets are in a trust managed by his children. There are no conflict of interests here. But ladies and gentlemen, Trump and friends businesses go much beyond crypto in Pakistan. A US businessman called Gentry Thomas Beach, he's a close friend of Donald Trump Jr., has been he actually has been frequenting Pakistan, meeting with the Prime Minister and the Army Chief there. He has just announced a multi-billion deal investment in Pakistan's real estate via his holding company that is called White Bridge Real Estate. Not just that, he has also signed a deal to explore gold deposits near the Indus River. Now, at one level, you can of course argue, what does this have to do with Trump? Well, question is this: which businessman gets an audience with the Prime Minister and the Army Chief of a country so easily? Well, you do if you're the golfing and hunting partner of the son of the United States of America. Then let's not forget, Trump has also announced that the US has signed a deal with Pakistan to develop its massive oil reserves. Now, here's the fact. Pakistan does have amongst the highest untapped shale oil and gas resources in the world. In fact, it ranks 19th amongst 41 countries with shale reserves. One of the places it is found is in restive and resource-rich Balochistan. Almost immediately after the announcement of this deal, there was another announcement. The announcement that the rebel Baloch Liberation Army was being declared a terror organization with the United States of America. Why? Because they oppose the region's resources being sold off to foreign powers. So, ladies and gentlemen, the question is simple. Is Jake Sullivan and the others right when they say that Trump's foreign policy is on sale? That the itch to mediate the Indo-Pak conflict came, well, because war is bad for business and there is a lot of Trump business in Pakistan. That his attempt was rebuffed and denied by India, that went ahead and then kept mum on his Nobel push. Did that trigger his psychopath tendencies that led to his tariff attack on India? I'm going to be putting those questions to my guests who are joining me this evening. Thank you all so very much. Sushant Sareen is a senior fellow at ORF joining us on the broadcast. Dr. John Harrison is a Homeland Security expert joining us on the broadcast as well. Will be defending President Trump. P.N. Mishra is someone who looks at crypto very closely. He's a lawyer. He's also an international regulatory consultant on crypto. He's joining us on the broadcast because when it is being said that the deals in Pakistan, especially around crypto, are shady, I want to understand what exactly is shady about it. And we have Ray Locker. He's a journalist. He's an author. He's joining us on the broadcast as well. Thank you very much. Dr. John Harrison, I'm coming to you first. You know, it has been said by various people in the United States of America, in India as well, that President Donald Trump is essentially putting America's foreign policy on sale. The fact is that he and his entire family and his web of friends have business interests in Pakistan, which is why the Indo-US relationship has been dumped. Under the circumstances, how can you even defend President Trump?
Well, first of all, let me just clarify something. I didn't come on this evening defending anybody. What I'm simply trying to do is offer alternatives. And I think while certainly there's a personal motivation behind the president's issues now with India, I think they're much more simple and much more straightforward. Since he came into office, he has had a vision of himself, just like any second-term president does. They want to leave a legacy. And for him, the legacy has been about getting a Nobel Prize. As I've been saying here, based in Abu Dhabi for the better part, almost a year now, the president can try all he wants. He could solve global warming tonight. He's not going to get a Nobel Prize. So whatever he is doing to try to achieve that, I think it's probably a fool's errand at this point. I'm not sure that Jake Sullivan is an unbiased advisor here. He is. There are many people in the United States and elsewhere who are very prone to conspiracy theories. Certainly, the president has made it easy for people to do that. But I think this is all very straightforward. This is about the fact that Pakistan came forward and said the president deserves to be nominated. The prime minister came forward and said, no, he doesn't. And President Trump is very angry about that. I don't think there's much more to it than that.
Okay. So you're saying that President Trump's anger with India is just related to India not pitching in with the Nobel cause. Sushant Sareen, do you buy that? Because I don't think this is just about the Nobel or the Russian oil. There is more to it. And if someone like a Jake Sullivan says that, yes, there are business interests in Pakistan because of which the Indo-US ties have been sacrificed, there is a point he is making, and it's backed by fact. I mean, the facts are for all to see.
So, Shreya, look, I think the Russian oil thing is utter nonsense. I think everybody understands that. It's just an excuse. But I think there is certainly an element of personal ego and this quest for a Nobel Peace Prize, which to my mind at least is the worst prize in the world. A lot of dubious characters have got it, so maybe Trump might just get it. But the fact is that if you ask me, and I've said this repeatedly, I would imagine as an American, the single greatest honor you can get is to be elected as President of the United States. What can be a better honor than that? But that aside, so the personal ego angle is certainly there. And India is not ready to, massage his ego on that count. But I think there is certainly an angle of personal profit as well. A lot of people don't remember this, but in his previous term, there was an attempt which was made by the Trump organization to try a hotel which the Pakistanis own in the heart of the city. It's called the Roosevelt Hotel. It's in Manhattan. And they had tried to get hold of that. There was some talk of the Pakistanis even approaching, or the Trump family approaching the Pakistanis and trying to see if they could swing a deal. It didn't work out. This time around, there is, of course, the crypto angle. and there is talk that the Pakistanis will make sure that this crypto thing works, because there is some talk of the Pakistanis starting to invest their foreign exchange reserves, not that they have a lot of them, but in cryptocurrency, using the platform which is controlled or owned by the Trump family. Now, there is, of course, that, and then there are real estate deals, which, of course, this character, Gentry Beach, who's supposed to be a great buddy of one of the Trump kids, is spearheading. And Gentry Beach had been approached earlier through some people and was fated and dined in Islamabad, and he came back and gave glowing reports about Pakistanis. The third angle is of another dubious Pakistani origin guy who's supposedly an investor, who's into media companies and other things. I'm forgetting his name. Maybe I can message that to you later, who's also involved and who's also playing a role. But at the end of the day, Shreya, there was a time when we heard stories of the United States buying out leaders of third world countries to get their way in those countries. And to see even the whiff of an allegation, because what we have is allegations right now, or suspicions, to even see the whiff of that directed against the President of the United States, that a tottering third world dictatorship, quasi-dictatorship, is buying influence by bribing people in the first family or associates of the first family. I think it doesn't speak very highly about the United States or what's happening out there.
Okay.
And perhaps even points to the decline of the United States, which a lot of people are talking about. I think that talk is it's quite exaggerated, but these are not good signs if the president or people around him are accused of these kind of activities.
Okay, Ray Locker, then this clearly is conflict of interest. This is nothing else. This is a question of ethics. This is simply bad ethics, and also a clear conflict of interest, especially when it comes to crypto. As far as the gold deal is concerned, as far as real estate is concerned, for a minute you can say, oh, but these firms are not directly linked with Trump. The fact is that the man who owns the firm is the golfing and hunting partner of Donald Trump Jr. So how is it not linked to Trump? Chalo, let's forget that, Ray, for a moment. But the fact is that the crypto deal is a little shady, is a little suspicious.
Well, yes, it is. And let's not all lay this on Jake Sullivan. This was detailed in an extensive New York Times article in April, and Sullivan was basically repeating the key points of that. So it's not that he came up with it and started talking about it in this podcast. This has been out there for a while, and it's extensively documented. And look, any government around the world who wants to influence a leader of the United States or a leader of another country uses every connection it can. So if you know that Gentry Beach is friends with Donald Trump Jr. and you want to get something from the United States, you play that card. That's the way it's always been. And yes, this is a total conflict of interest. And you should not have the president or his kids or family members involved in businesses that affect the government of the United States. I mean, just like Hunter Biden should never have been a board member of Burisma in Ukraine. That created all sorts of problems, and legitimately so. And it goes on and on and on. You had Donald Nixon, the brother of Richard Nixon, some of his business deals, and people said, oh, it was a conflict of interest. You had the Roosevelt kids during the FDR administration, some of the things they were involved in. This is something that happens when you have presidential family members involved in businesses that touch on government policy. And we shouldn't have that. But this administration has blown it way out. I mean, this is something far beyond anything that's happened in the past. I mean, if you go back like to 1980, the whole controversy about Billy Carter working for the Libyan government. I mean, Billy Carter couldn't do anything, but it was a big deal. It dominated the news during that year. I mean, that wouldn't even be a minuscule part of what's happening now.
Can I just get the crypto expert here, PM Mishra? Could you help our viewers understand, since you are someone who tracks crypto, most of us don't, you track crypto, you know what is happening in the world of crypto. Has the deal that has been signed between Donald Trump's firm and the PCC, which is Pakistan's Crypto Council, is it shady or is it legitimate? And I also want to ask you, which businessmen actually, before announcing multi-billion-dollar deals, get access to the Prime Minister of that country and the Army Chief of that country?
About the crypto deal, if you look at the crypto deal, it's a long prepared story from Trump's family. Donald Trump came into power by talking about crypto. Even in the first case, about Trump coin. The first coin is Trump coin. Let me give you date-wise how exactly the story unfolded. Everyone must remember CJ. CJ is the former CEO of Binance. He has done a biggest settlement of $4.3 billion with government of U.S. Okay? Number one, in September 2024, CJ came out of the jail from the custody. In January 2025, Mr. Trump get elected. In April, CJ sent a letter request for presidential pardon. In April, CJ should, he being selected or elected or appointed as the strategic advisor for Pakistan Crypto Council. Okay? And in the same April, Trump's company, WLF, World Liberty Financial Management, visited Pakistan. And remember, at the end of April, Pahalgam happened. Then everyone knows the war happened. See the series of events. You connect it. Remember, Pakistan is if you look at the trading volume, it is 330 billion. Who will not be interested? Why not? Trump has shown this interest in crypto since in case of campaigning and presidential election. Then after you look at all these events. So it shows that, about the bill. I'll give you some pointers about the bill, that the kind of MOU they signed. The biggest thing is crypto payment transfer. They are going to come up with a stable coin where they will regulate crypto payment transfer. Settlement.
Okay.
Is a big deal. Understand all this, and I think if you connect everything, you'll understand his interest. 330 billion is not a small amount.
Mr. Mishra, can I quickly ask you a counter question? Is it true? Mr. Sareen, I know you want to come in. I just have a quick technical question here. Mr. Mishra, is it true that Pakistan is investing its sovereign money in crypto, in PCC, which Trump has a deal with?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Try to understand. If
there's a clear connection there. Mr. Sareen, go ahead. Mr. Sareen, go ahead.
I had a question from Mr. Mishra. He's mentioning a figure of $330 billion. What is that?
That is basically trading volume in Pakistan. The crypto trading volume of Pakistan user is 25 million. Officially, 330 billion is basically their trading volume in Pakistan.
Dr. John Harrison, Caesar's wife has to be above suspicion. In this case, your president is not above suspicion.
Well, I don't pretend to understand cryptocurrency at all, so it's very easy to make allegations. But what I'm also not clear on is the train seems to be here that Pakistan has bought U.S. foreign policy, and I'm not sure I see any evidence of that. What I certainly see is that the U.S. has interest, and they've had interest in Pakistan going back to the 1940s. So I'm not entirely clear on if there is smoke here, and I'm not saying there is or isn't. I don't pretend to understand enough about this, but there seems to be a leap, and President Trump makes it easy to make these leaps. He's oftentimes his own worst enemy, but there seem to be very easy conspiracy theories around the president that go back to the Russiagate fiasco back in the first administration, and the president and how you deal with him is a bit of a Rorschach test, I think. if you dislike him, everything he's doing is evil. If you like him, nothing he's doing is bad. I'm not taking a position on that, because certainly it doesn't look good. But I certainly don't have enough, and I'm not sure that anybody really does have enough information to be able to make the leap that there is something nefarious going on here that will impact U.S. foreign policy.
To my mind,
I would
Sushant,
go back to my. I would just go back to earlier.
Okay. To my mind, then, Sushant, there are multiple reasons that have resulted in the situation that we are seeing today. It's not just Russian oil, as you're saying. There are multiple things that have led to the situation we are in today. My point is, how did we get into this situation? 25 years you take to build this relationship, you take to strengthen this relationship. Some core fundamentals are still strong. For example, today, the youth abhyas has started in Alaska between India and the United States of America. It's an annual military exercise that happens. So those things are still underway. But the fact is, if we go back to Trump's last term, it has been argued that he has been one of the pillars that actually strengthened this relationship. Since then, things have gone downhill pretty quickly.
That's true. But Shreya, to be fair, I think I would say that maybe 80% of the blame certainly lies with the people in the Trump administration, and not just the actions they have taken, but the kind of language they have been using. There are these characters like Peter Navarro and others. I don't know what purpose this serves. This cannot be negotiating skills. It's just irritating a whole lot of people. It's causing a lot of ill will against the United States, which is a shame. But there is, I would say, a 20-25% blame, perhaps, that we should also take on ourselves, which is essentially not being nifty and nimble enough to understand the nature of this particular administration. If, for example, the assumption was that it would be a continuation of Trump 1.0, I think we should have re-examined that particular theory of ours. We should have been more alive to what are the kind of influences that are at work within the Trump family, knowing that he has a very individualistic and a very capricious style of functioning. I think we dropped the ball somewhere. So I would imagine that we need to take some of the blame on ourselves. Perhaps our mission in DC was a little lazy. It wasn't engaging with the kind of people it should have engaged with. It was probably putting a lot more in the store of traditional foreign policy influencers, the think tanks and other kind of people, when all of them are out of the loop now, right? And I think there was this complacency that everything will be hunky-dory because Trump has been nice to India. Most of the people he was appointing, from his NSA to his Secretary of State to the Director of National Intelligence, you name the guy, was somebody who always had good things to say about India. So there was no reason to think that we need to do anything more, hence the complacency. So I would imagine there has been that on our part. So we dropped the ball, and I think it will be a little difficult to pick up the ball and take it to where it was before all hell broke loose over the last weeks.
Okay, we'll leave this conversation here. Thank you very much. What has been a conspiracy theory is now being openly spoken by the media in the United States of America and by an ex-NSA as well. Do we have a response from President Trump on that, on conflict of interest with businesses in Pakistan? So far, they are saying, well, the entire business is in a trust run by the Trump family. Therefore, President Trump has nothing to do with it. Anyone who lives in the subcontinent knows that is not how things work here. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much. Sushant Sareen, Dr. John Harrison, PM Mishra and Ray Locker, good to have you on the show. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, a break. There's more on the other side. Do stay with us.